Welcome to another round of Soccer's in Session. I almost made it. I was looking at them. I was looking in the green room. I was looking at the boards. Did I have everything lined up? And I'd forgotten that I got to take the slate off when I rolled the open. So you saw a little bit of a flash frame of that. Shows you where my brain is. I'm all over the place. All right, no dilly, no dally zone here. Soccer's in Session live, presented by our friends at Kaiser Permanente at KP Georgia on the 280 character app. Kaiser Permanente for all that is you. Thanks to Kaiser Permanente for being a great sponsor for us all season long. As promised, batting leadoff, it is time to catch up with Brian Messer and find out what is going on at McIntosh as you're getting ready for a match today. Okay, so it's kind of loud outside right now, Brian. How is this affecting things?
Yeah, it's I think the biggest effect is going to be the drive that we got to make to Duluth from Peachtree City. But if we're going to play in the rain, we're pretty accustomed to it. Most of our home games this year, I think like 8 out of our 10 home games have all been in the rain, in crazy wind and just downpours on turf. So we're actually pretty good in the rain. So I'm not really concerned about it. Now, certainly there's not supposed to be a lot of wind once this storm passes through. Wind causes more issues for us than rain, as well as anybody else. So. But I think we'll be fine.
What's it like having to prepare for every contingency, not just, hey, sunny and 82, but it's turf, it's grass, it's heat, it's humidity. And oh, by the way, now Mother Nature decided to take every bucket she could find and just sit there and go, pfft. What's it like having to prepare in 3 dimensions for a title game?
Well, the back of my car is full of stuff. And we've been in this situation a lot this time of year, and our preparation is always for the heat, because April soccer and May soccer typically are completely different. And luckily we're playing in Duluth instead of Macon, because Macon's always about 5 degrees hotter, and that turf down there really retains heat. Never played at Duluth High School, so I don't really know how that's going to be, but luckily it's not going to be 90 degrees and sunny. So that's how our prep has been all week. I mean, we've trained hard in the heat, lots of hydration, lots of liquid IV. We had a solid team dinner last night, spent about 3 hours with the team yesterday evening, and the food, the hydration, that's been a big prep. So regardless of what kind of weather conditions, you need that anyway when you get this deep in the playoffs. You don't really prepare for the rain, but luckily we have played in it quite a bit this year. So, but anything can happen when it's slippery and wet, and tackles look a lot harder than they typically are because you're sliding on damp turf, and so it should lead to a fun little matchup with us in Decatur.
How long did it take McIntosh as a program to get adjusted, accustomed to, a set idea of, okay, we need to make sure that every aspect is covered here. We've got to make sure about hydration. We've got to make sure about diet. We have to make sure that all of these aspects of preparation off the field help us out when we go on the field, so we can be as best as we can in these last matches of the year. How long did it take, and did things change when it came to coaching approach to make sure that everything was fine-tuned to where every aspect is covered in these situations?
Well, I'd like to say it's taken the whole 24 years that Bunky and I have been together. This is our 12th state championship appearance. So, we've been there a few times, and we know how to prepare, but honestly, I think the biggest series of years was 9, 10, and 11. We lost 3 straight state championship games. You certainly get a lot of experience going and winning a state championship game, but your best experience comes from losing them. And, we lost in 05, we lost in 9, 10, and 11, 3 years back to back. We really had to dig deep because didn't know if we would even have jobs after losing. It's great, getting to a state final. It's hard to do, but you lose 3 in a row, the administration starts looking at you and wanting to know if maybe this isn't the right fit. But little takeaways from each of those games, especially with the week preparation. The last state championship we won, we played. I think we played a semifinal on Wednesday night and turned around on Friday and played a final. And that game we beat Blessed Trinity, in double overtime. It was a hard fought game. We had zero recovery, so I didn't even know that we could, show up on Friday and have the legs to win it. We did, but it was a massive amount of, you can't do ice baths, but you have to ice, because there's just not enough recovery time. You've got to just pound the salt, the liquid IV, the water. You've got to eat a lot that day before, and then eat right the day of. So that's kind of what we've done.
So what was it like going back to the Midtown match? What did you learn about yourself in the Midtown match that you can carry forward to this matchup against Decatur coming up at 7:30?
Well, Midtown had some stellar players on that field. A couple of guys that were far better than anybody on our team. But what we did learn is you got to have 11 players playing together to beat us. And that's kind of been our thing all year. We don't have any superstars. Our team resume is a bunch of guys that nobody's ever heard of. And that's okay, because they're playing for the right reasons. They're playing together. They're working for each other, and they have no experience, right? They don't know what they don't know. And so it's kind of nice, because you're not facing any complacency with a guy that has a ring from 2 years ago. Like, all these guys from the beginning of the season have wanted to go to the state final and win it. And honestly, I looked at this team, a rebuild team, graduating 17, and said, what does the next 3 years look like? Because this is a brand new team, and I don't know that we have the level of skill to get to a final. I put us as a quarterfinal team, and they've completely overachieved, and super proud of these guys.
And we talked last time you were on about having a ninth grade squad to help work things forward with these 10th, 11th, and 12th graders, and the vital aspect of the program to have those ninth graders. But all of this turnover and all of these folks that have graduated, how long did it take for all of these new faces coming in here in 24 to get on the same page to what you want, and I'll use air quotes, McIntosh soccer to look like out there on the field? Or are they still trying to find it even as we're at the last match of the year?
Because of our ninth grade and our JV programs, I think they already knew coming in what it meant to be a McIntosh Chief. And, our motto of champions find a way, they really have embraced that, and they've understood it the whole season. We haven't blown teams out. We're not an offensive team that's putting up the 8-0 victories, but we do find a way to win the game. And the effort on the team, it's just pretty amazing how this team has come together. It's funny at tryouts, though, because you have this core group of guys that kind of roll over and they kind of grow and have the experience, and I'm having to introduce myself to most of the guys at tryouts, because I'm like, I know their name on paper, but I really don't know much about them. And it's kind of been a fact-finding mission all year for us. You usually have a great relationship with a group of parents. I don't even know whose parents are who. I'm having to, meet them as we go, because it's just such a new team. So it's been fun, though.
Jeremy Moore from Toombs County coming up here in short order. We get to talk to a champ, first time ever, coming up here in just a little bit, wrapping up with Brian Messer at McIntosh as they're getting ready to play for a championship. What's study hall been like getting ready for a 4-seed in Decatur?
We've watched a lot of film on them. They're better than the number 4 seed for sure. I think they finished in the 3-way tie, 2, 3, and 4 in that region. So clearly they've come through their bracket nicely, and they're playing their best. So and everybody's going to give us their best. That's just how it is. And if they continue to play a 3-5-2, it's not something we play against very often. Most teams play 4 in the back. But I think for us, it certainly is good because, we can press high with our guys and see who can hold the ball better between their 3 backs and our 3 attacking players.
Will do. And looking forward to it. Obviously, thanks for everything this season that you and Bunky and everybody down there at McIntosh have done in rolling out the green carpet for us at SDH. And thanks for hopping on during your lunch hours, especially when you're chasing after a championship and all these kinds of things. So,
yes, sir.
As always, great. Just be safe and make sure that you got all the proper coverage, meaning over the head, and everybody's as dry as humanly possible in multiple uniforms. Thanks again for hanging out with us. Be safe. Good luck against Decatur. We'll catch up soon.
Thanks, John. Have a good one.
All right, that's Brian Messer. He's the head coach. He's one of the coaches. He's the assistant coach for Bunky Colvin at McIntosh. And it's coming up in short order. We are going to have a champion. We're going to have a champion dropping by. And it's going to be really cool because of what happened yesterday. And there are first times for everything. There are first times for everything. And it's when you get to talk about all these first times, that's always a good thing to be able to get the kind of feel for what it means to win a title for the first time. And obviously, we'll go through all of the different championships that have happened and all this kind of stuff, and all the winners that are a part of the discussion. But yeah, we're gonna go to we're gonna go and catch up with a champ. And it was a busy day yesterday at 5-Star. Our Matty Cruz and Luke Winstall got to call Fellowship Christian and Mount Perrin, and they also got to call the Toombs County model match. And so it was great to see those championships happen in AA yesterday. And in AA on the boys' side, the final was Toombs County over model by the score of 2-0. Both of the goals were scored in the first half, and you ended up with Toombs getting the win over model. And it was a great day in Lyons. And so now we're gonna go to Toombs County High School, and I got Jeremy Moore out of class. How does it feel, my friend?
It feels great. It's tired. You got back home about 1:00 last night. Had a great bus ride home with the guys, celebrating and just enjoying it. But texts and emails and social media messages have not stopped. It's just been great for our community, and getting back in school and the teachers and the kids being here. It's just been really, really special.
When you went into the matchup yesterday and you were preparing, what was Study Hall like getting ready for model going into this matchup? What were you expecting when you were getting to 5-Star with this model's team?
I think they were 21-0-1 coming in, so we knew they were good. We're not a very big team outside of 1 or 2 players. We're predominantly Hispanic, with a lot of shorter guys, but they're 6'1", 6'1", 6'3". They do really good job on throw-ins and set pieces and corner kicks, making, creating mismatches and taking advantage of that. So we spent a lot of time on Monday and Tuesday prepping for, defending those, how to defend those, making sure that even though we may not conjunct with them, if they're getting their heads on the balls, it's not just uncontested challenges. It's us on them, making them work to get that ball on goal. So that was, our concern defensively going in. We've played really good defense all year in free play, but, just matching up with their height and their physicality was a concern going in. We felt like we had a good matchup once we had possession, and got settled in, but we spent a lot of time trying to defend their throw-ins and set pieces and corners.
When you're out there at 5-Star, obviously it's turf and it's, all of the weather that's attached to it. You're adding 5 to 7 degrees from the air temperature. And you and I both know that Middle Georgia is not known to be Mount Rainier. It is not the most temperate place in the world. What was it like getting adjusted to playing on a surface like 5-Star with the turf and everything meteorologically going on yesterday?
Well, we have turf here. We've played on for about 3 years at Toombs. We were more concerned with the width of the field. I think it's about 70 yards what they lined off, and I think our field is about 58 or 59 yards. I did think that helped us in defending the throw-ins. I think it made them a little less effective on those big, long throw-ins they like to take. And then we got there and we were expecting really warm temperatures. But by the time we got on the pitch, I think it had dropped into the mid-80s. The clouds had rolled in a little bit. It was very humid. But, again, down here, we're used to that. So, and I told, some people heading into the state tournament, I think we've been very fortunate this year with, we usually have a couple of really hot streaks late in the season of weather, and it's been relatively cool, relatively mild. I think we had about a 3-day window maybe a month ago where it was in the 90s for a couple of days, but we hadn't had to battle a lot of the heat this year. And so being acclimated to that, I think that Noddle was a little deeper than us, rolling 5 and 6 guys in at a time. And we tightened our rotation down a little bit as we got into these tougher games down the stretch. But, just adjusting to the field, I think we did a good job with that.
20-3 on the season. If I had told you going into that matchup at 5-star, you'd be 19-3, that you would have won your region, and that is a 14-match region schedule. If I told you were going to win region, if I told you that you were going to be ranked top 30 in the state of Georgia, if I told you that you were going to be pushing 20 wins at the beginning of this year, what would you have told me?
We knew we had a lot coming back from the group last year. We also knew I believe that the region 3AA right now that we've been in this last cycle is on the boys side is without a doubt, in my opinion, the toughest region. Tatnall won it last year. And then they won the region as well. And then we won the region this year. We really had 3 goals that we wanted to check this year. That was a region title, getting past the Elite 8, which we'd never been past. I think Toombs County's been there like 5 times counting this year. And then obviously the state championship. You set those goals and you shoot for that. But yeah, if you'd have told me, 6 months ago, we're going to be 19-3 going into a championship game with a region title, we would have been thrilled, to know we have that opportunity to go in and win that game.
You scored 2 goals in the first half, and what are you telling them at halftime so they're not focused on the fact that they're 2 goals up and they're 45 minutes away from a first ever in a line of first evers in this season? What did you talk about at the halftime?
Yeah, I mean, you talk with coaches all the time about you never know what you're going to get with 16 and 17 and 18-year-old teenagers. But we went, I thought we came out a little nervous and took about 15 minutes to get into our game. I think once we got into that, I felt like we had a better run in the match. But, 2 goals, I think about 5 minutes apart going into half was huge for us, obviously. We go into the locker room and we talk about a few adjustments. We need to make a couple things we've done well. But my main point was, we've hung our hat on defense all year. We've got a veteran back line with 3 seniors and 1 freshman. And a goalkeeper who's extremely talented, and we don't concede a lot of goals. And the last thing, my last message to him coming out of the locker room, I wanted to go out and get a 3rd goal. We've had leads in a lot of games this year, obviously, and we've worked on not sitting on those leads and letting teams play at us because I think we can dictate the pace of games. So my message coming out of the locker room was don't step off the pedal. Continue to press, continue to get in them, and I just told him, I said, we don't give up goals. We are a team that's won a region championship by conceding the fewest goals in region and one of the fewest goals conceded ratios in state. And that's what we hang our hat on. So I said, if we go out and do what we've done to get us here, we're fixing to be state champions, but don't let off the pedal, and I thought we did a good job of that. We didn't get that 3rd goal, but we had chances and I felt like, numerous spells of really good possession where a lot of times we might, play a bad ball or just give up and take a long shot. We made 2 or 3 more passes to keep possession and to move the ball and just make them run more.
Seniors leading the way. Obviously, you get folks like Giovanni Zamorano, who goes for 23-9 this season. You got Braylon Dietrich, who goes for 18 goals as well. You get Ozzy Tinoco, who's a sophomore, giving you some really good work with 8 goals and 8 assists on the season. What's it like to have that blend of senior leadership, but at the same time having the underclassmen come in and help out as well?
It's been really big. We won a region title 2 seasons ago with a really strong senior group. And I've told them, I feel like, even down into our middle school program, 7th and 8th grade up, we've got fairly strong groups in every group, which is rare to have in a AA school. You feel like it cycles a lot, but Braylon and Giovanni were our captains this year, and they were vocal leaders. They were emotional leaders for us, and I think it's fitting that they scored the 2 goals last night to get us to the title. But those 2, and then Jose Leon was we run a 4-1-3-2 was our holding center mid that got a rough start coming out of the gates on the season, but I feel like, looking back on the second half of the season into the state run, played as well as anybody on the field for us. Never comes out of the game, tons of energy, and our other two backs that are seniors, Alicio Cruz was a center back and Kenneth Perez was a left wing back. Those guys, just bought into what we're doing. Every one of them crucial. Augustine Cruz was our backup goalie. We gave him a game on senior night against Bradwell, and he just had, a game of his life to get some moments. But just the whole group. Yeah, and you mentioned sophomores. We got a great junior group that's contributed a lot. Sophomores and when we were able to get freshmen some playing time, we just have such a big junior and senior group. I'm sorry that we didn't get many freshmen in this year, which I think is good. They got plenty of reps on JV, but you can't say enough about the balance. Obviously led by the seniors, but Osvaldo Tinoco got a lot of minutes last year as a freshman on a team that finished fourth in the region and got invaluable experience, and came out this year and had a hat trick, I think, in the second round against Berrien, who was a good team, but had scored 3 really nice goals. I think boosted his confidence and has just been a solid guy for us all year.
And you mentioned defense for you, and I will apologize ahead of time because if I keep you later than I would have anticipated, it's because A, I haven't seen you in a while, and B, it's a cool story. When you walk out of the room, blame the TV guy. The TV.
We're good. They're in the media center, so she's got them covered. We're good.
So you mentioned defense. You scored 19 in the first 2 rounds. You hadn't given up a goal. You scored 22 by the time you beat Drew Charter. You still hadn't given up a goal. And you'd only given up 1 goal this entire postseason, and that was to Fellowship Christian. I mean, that's lockdown, man. That's some serious stuff. It
is. Again, you talk about our region play and how deep our region is. I don't think there was a bad team in our region this year. Again, you look at the last 2 years, you look at the brackets, I think it speaks for itself. But just the schedule we play all year, prepping us for the state tournament. And then, obviously we sit down after we win region, getting ready for state and talk about our goals. And I just feel like the guys really got on another level as a team, as a defensive unit. Getting through those first 2 rounds, we felt pretty confident about. Oh, hold on, let me get the lights back on.
You didn't move. Light censored lights.
Yeah, sorry about that.
No, that happens, dude. You're locked into one place, the lights go off.
Yeah, but it was special. We knew going in last night we were in the state tournament, 25 goals scored, 1 goal conceded. That's special. And then pick up 2 more last night, obviously, caps that off. But a day removed is one thing, but I think as we get further away from this and look back at how special it was to not only have the record we had in regular season and win the region title, but to go 5-0 in the state tournament and go in the fashion we did, 27 goals, one conceded, is phenomenal. And just, again, the way the guys play together, those midfielders that come back and help get underneath the ball and defend. Our CDM, Alejandro Tinoco, has just been solid all year, battled a leg injury for a while. We finally got him healthy maybe the first or second round, and he's just played really well in the state tournament, just locking down teams in the middle, not allowing teams to run through, taking pressure off of that back line. And then, Braylon Dietrich just anchors our back line, region player of the year. And it's remarkable to look back and realize you outscored your opponents 27-1 and on the highest level, the biggest stage in the Georgia high school soccer.
Catching up for another couple of minutes with the head coach of the new champs in AA on the boys' side, Toombs County, after they beat Model by the final of 2-0. Saw the bath that you got. I know that those are the best kind of baths that you can get when you're doing interviews on television. It's been a while since SDH has been down there to see rivalries and matches and so on. What does a win like this mean to not just Toombs County soccer, but to soccer in that part of the state where it is growing and has been growing? What do you think it means to have a state champ hang a banner in that part of the state of Georgia?
It's huge. We talked last year and the year before, Tatnall winning one last year, I think, is the first team in this area to bring home a state title, and for us to be able to do it in back-to-back years. Community excitement here. We've got our rivals right down the road, Vidalia, who has, 2 good programs there and have been doing this longer than we have. And, our Tatnall, Appling, Pierce, these schools that then in the last 10 to 15 years have added soccer programs. the text messages you receive from those coaches and the support. The Hispanic community around here is so big with a lot of these county schools, and those guys, once their teams were out, coming up here and supporting our guys, and they're all friends on Snapchat and things like that. And the messages our guys were getting the last few days, hey guys, you bring it back to the 912, keep it in the 912, and just stuff like that. But also the people that, even in our school system that don't know soccer. I saw posts on Facebook about, hey, you may not know what's going on, but get out there and get behind these guys. And just, again, I growing up in this area, soccer was not popular at all. And it's not on the stage of some other sports, but it has exponentially grown in interest from a spectator standpoint, from a participation standpoint, from an excitement standpoint with teams, all these teams in the area. Jeff Davis was making a great run this year and lost a huge game in penalty kicks. Pierce County Final Four last year. These rural areas that when the program gets on that run, the community rallies, and people that have never seen a soccer match before come out and support it because they know that kid or they know that kid's parents. And all of us, I'm getting messages, man, that was the most exciting thing I've ever seen. And I'm like, we'll come to more of them. We'll play again next year. So it's great. I think it's great for, again, obviously the community here that knows soccer, but like you said, the community that doesn't know it, that's going to see these, media coverages and these podcasts and things where it just continues to grow. And, kids in the school that that kid that's walking the hall that might not play this year, but might come out next year because they want to be a part of that winning success. It's great. It's, again, a guy that this is my passion. This is my first sport. This is my love. I love seeing it shared on Facebook. Our media guy posted it last night. I think it's got almost 500 shares in our little community from, people that don't know what it is, but Toombs County won a state title. So we're pumped. So maybe more people come out next year. Maybe people check out, these guys are pretty good. Let's go see what they're about. So it's great, not only in our local community, but the communities around us to see that these teams can compete at that level with those, the big schools, the Atlanta schools. We knocked off Fellowship Christian, private Christian school in Atlanta. And it's so great just to see the kids and see the community. And we walk out of the locker room last night and I felt like our entire fan base was there waiting on us afterwards. And man, it's just one of those like movie moments. You walk out and you want to hear the music play and everybody's picking the kids up and they're heroes, man. It's just, it just grows the sport and it's awesome.
It was a region champ out of Hazelhurst with Jeff Davis. They were the Region 1 champ there with what Coach Lawson's doing. It's really great. They made it to Providence Christian before Providence Christian won in PKs in the Pinelands.
Yep.
And from what, the Appling County match, we caught up with him before the Appling County match in round 2. And it was a football FOOTBALL crowd.
Yes.
In Hazelhurst. And so the fact that you're seeing that in Hazelhurst and the Pinelands, you're seeing what you're seeing there with you guys at Toombs County. To me, it's cool to see it grow in these, and I'll use air quotes again, the non-traditional markets, the non-traditional cities, to see what's going on, and you end up with a state title. You're wearing the T-shirt, that much I do know, and then the one that they gave you, I think.
This is the purchase one. I told my wife I needed her to pick me up one when she got there, so I told her, make sure you get one. So, because we're not there every year, but we've got the ones they gave us for the team, but this was the purchased one. So,
okay. So then now my follow-up question, when does the Toombs County state champ gear go on sale? That's what I want to know.
We've been working on a lot of details on recognition and shirts and rings and all that this morning. Our kids are kind of winding down school. We get out next week. I was joking with a couple of people yesterday. I said, I've been so swamped with soccer preparation. It's jumped up on me. We're right here at the end of school, but I'm getting texts and, hey, are we selling shirts? We got a local company here we use for a lot of our stuff. So we're working on trying to get that set up and get the kids fitted for rings before they go home for the summer. And it's just exciting. We'll definitely, we had shirts made for the championship game and sold out and had to get more printed and almost sold out of those. And so we're, again, the community, like I said, so I'm hoping all those that bought the shirts and definitely want the championship shirts. So we will be getting those. Hopefully we can start getting orders next week and get those things going out.
Fantastic. Jeremy Moore, I can say, head coach of the state champs in AA, the Toombs County Bulldogs. My friend, it's great to see you. Congratulations on a fantastic season. Go get a nap. How much time do you have before the period's over?
My group is actually about to go to lunch. So I'm done for the day. I have afternoon planning, so you timed it perfect for me. So
Afternoon planning equals nap.
Afternoon nap, absolutely. I've already told my athletic director and my principal, you're not going to see a lot of me today. So definitely.
Absolutely great to see you, and give my best to everybody down there at Toombs County. Congratulations on a state championship. Go get a nap, my friend. We'll catch up soon.
Appreciate it, John. Thanks for all you do, man.
That is Coach Jeremy Moore of the state champ Toombs County Bulldogs. I sit here and mash my desk, and you see the camera move, but that is fantastic. Toombs County first ever in a year of first evers. They got the Duke, and I know that Festivus gifts are going to be coming up in short order. So when those go on sale, I know that there will be a lot of folks getting from a box that I'm going to order that'll be shipped here to the office. I'm getting Toombs County Bulldog Championship gear. That is the bottom line. And I'm going to catch up. I'm going to make sure that happens. I'm looking forward to it. Great win yesterday for Toombs County, one of six titles that were decided yesterday. It was the 2, the 3, and the 4 that happened yesterday. Westminster gets the win in AAA boys, and Westminster in Quad A boys, they got the win there. It was 2-0. It was 1-0 at the half, 2-0 at the final. So Westminster gets another state championship, beating Johnson Gainesville and handcuffing the Knights in the last matchup of the year for that one. And so they end up with a title there. And also on the board in AAA, Hebron Christian in Columbus, Ray Torres goes out a champ in Columbus. So Columbus beats Hebron Christian by the final of 2-1. So Columbus wins in AAA at McEachern, and they were the late match last night. Calling that one, it was Gabe and Garrett calling Hebron Christian and Columbus on the boys' side. On the girls' side yesterday in 2, 3, and 4, we mentioned what happened with Toombs County beating Model. It's wild when you look at the numbers. Toombs County came out of the low left-hand side of the bracket. Region 3 winners. No problem with Kendrick. They had a big win over Kendrick, had a big win over Berrien in round number 2. All of this was happening at Toombs County. All of this was happening at the pit. Toombs County wins at 10-0. They win over Berrien by 9. They beat Drew Charter. Once again, Drew Charter, because they were a 3 seed, traveled to Toombs County, winning that one 3-0. Toombs County again at home beats Fellowship Christian 3-1, and then they traveled to Macon. The amount of fans, like I said, I was catching up on the local media reports and seeing Coach Moore get the bath in the post match interview, and it was a stacked crowd, and it's great to see that kind of support coming from Toombs County to Macon to see a title game happen. And I wanted to ask that question about the growth there in that pocket of the state of Georgia because of what we're seeing in the Pinelands with Coach Lawson, because of what we're seeing there with Tattnall County winning last year, because we saw what happened with Toombs County this year, what we've seen on the girls' side with Vidalia in the past, what we're seeing with South Georgia Tormenta in Statesboro in USL League One, getting all the way to the 120th minute +1 and taking Charleston to the edge in USL Championship. Having that as an anchor there in that particular part of the state and seeing teams on the coast, like an Islands, doing really well, and seeing how the sport continues to grow in these areas. And you see a result like this with Toombs County after Tattnall County winning it previously. So really cool to see that with Toombs County. So on the boys' side, that was AA. AAA yesterday was we mentioned Columbus beating Hebron Christian by the final of 2-1. Quad A boys was Westminster winning a title. On the girls' side of things, it was, just as nerve-wracking and exciting as we get to see on the AA girls' side. It was Fellowship Christian shutting out Mount Perrin Christian by the final of 5-0. So another big win for Fellowship Christian. They made their way through as the region champ in Region 8. And they had not given up a goal until the semifinal when they gave up 1 goal to Ace Charter. That's it. Much like Toombs County, Fellowship Christian on the girls' side in AA, they only gave up 1 goal. So you're going to have me do math here. 25, 29, 36, 41-1 was the run that Fellowship Christian's girls had. And they go 41-1. And they end up getting the state title on the girls' side. in AA, 5-0 winners over Mount Perrin Christian. AAA on the girls' side, Oconee County beat Wesleyan 2-1. Wesleyan, the offensive juggernaut that was there. We'll see if we can catch up with Coach Hamby tomorrow on a Friday and find out what it's like for Oconee County to be a champ. Once again, Oconee County coming out of the left-hand side of the bracket. Something about the left-hand side of the bracket. Oconee County, no problems with Carver in round one. Big win there, Carver, Atlanta. Then at home beat Lumpkin County 4-0. Then at home beat Savannah Country Day 1-0. Then at home beat Dawson County 1-0. Then they go to McEachern. So from Watkinsville to McEachern, they go from one end of the planet to the other. And it ends up with Oconee County beating Wesleyan. We had Wesleyan on our air, you'll remember, back for the Calhoun matchup. And they put 7 on Calhoun in Calhoun. So we knew the offensive juggernaut that was there for Wesleyan. They had scored 26 in their first 3 matches, 26-1, heading into the semifinal where they beat Columbus 3-1. And then they go to the final. Oconee County gets the Duke and wins that one 2-1 at McEachern. That was the early game yesterday. And in Quad A girls, it was Lovett over North Oconee. By the final of 3-2, we caught up with Ben Grassmeyer leading up to that matchup. And Lovett gave up, I think that was the second most goals that they had given up in any game. They had given up 3 in 1. They'd given up 7 goals all season long. They gave up 2 to North Oconee. And that was at Duluth yesterday afternoon. Lovett beats North Oconee by the final of 3-2. And the Lovett Lyons score more than 110 goals in a season. I think it was 108-7 going in. And you end up with Lovett beating North Oconee by the final of 3-2. So Lovett becomes the champs in Quad A. And that brings us to today. So let's go over the champs as we know them so far. And in D1 girls, this is what happens when you don't hydrate enough. Please hold. Yeah, I had to clear my throat. That's just what happens sometimes. You talk a lot and you don't get to hydrate properly. You get on a roll and then you got to stop. So it was on the girls' side, your winners so far, once again, Paideia over Social Circle 8-1. So they won Class A D1. Class A D2 goes to Aquinas over Lake Oconee Academy by the final of 2-1. AA girls, once again, Fellowship Christian over Mount Perrin 5-0. AAA girls, Oconee County over Wesleyan by the final of 2-1. Quad A girls, Lovett over North Oconee by the final of 3-2. That brings us to today. 5A girls matchup, GAC and Cambridge. This is Jess and Jason calling this one at 5 o'clock at Duluth High, weather permitting. And I'm going to go ahead and say that right now. Don't know what contingency plans are for scheduling other than we're going to wait it out and see what happens when the front goes through. 5 o'clock, GAC and Cambridge on the NFHS network with Jess and Jason. They will have the boys matchup following them there on campus, and that is where McIntosh and Decatur come into play. McIntosh and Decatur, 7:30 or a half hour after the completion of GAC and Cambridge on the boys' side in 5A. On the girls' side in 6A, Roswell and Marist. Roswell and Marist. Marist has come through on the upper right-hand side, and they had not given up a goal in the first 2 rounds. 2 big wins for them getting into round number 3. They had to go to penalties to beat Pope, and they beat Pope 5-4 in penalties. They advanced to the semifinal, had a big win over Johns Creek, 6-1 on the right-hand side of the bracket. Roswell came through. Roswell came through as the number 2 seed out of Region 7. The number 1 team out of Region 7 was Pope. Number 2 team out of Region 7 was Roswell. They beat Creekview 4-1 in the first match. They go to Mount Airy, beat Habersham Central 2-1. Then at home, beat North Atlanta 3-1 at Ray Manus. And then in the semifinal, they hosted Lassiter. Goalless after 100 minutes. Go to PKs. Roswell won 4-2 in PKs. So Roswell and Marist is your 6A girls matchup today. 6A girls, Roswell and Marist, that is Justin Hanover and our own Jarrett Smith. That one's going to be at McEachern at 5 o'clock once again, weather permitting. For GAC took Jefferson to penalties. After 100 minutes, it was tied at 1. GAC won 4-2 in penalties. Jefferson hit the post in penalties. 4-2, GAC with a win there in penalties as we continue to backtrack. Elsewhere on the board in 5A on the girls' side for GAC, backtracking, they had a big win over a 4 seed in Northside Columbus. Before that, in round 2, they beat Midtown's girls 2-1. Before that, a big win over Woodland Cartersville in round number 1. That got them to the last match of the year. Cambridge came through low right. Region champ out of Region 6. They had scored 17 goals in the first three rounds, had not given up a goal. Shut out McIntosh in the semis on the right-hand side. So 18 goals scored, none allowed. And that gets them as the home team on the right-hand side at GAC against GAC. GAC traveling all the way down to Duluth. So GAC goes to Duluth. And you see what's going on there. We'll bring in Jason. Well, so what's going on?
Yeah,
there?
You don't have to bring me in. I just crash in like the Kool-Aid man.
Yeah, you are. And so you're kind of balancing about 9 different things right now.
About 27, but sure.
And so is everything completed, weather permitting, up at the Children's Healthcare of Atlanta training ground?
Yes, I just left. Training got moved up just a little bit today because of the weather that came in. Just light rain now, I guess, in Marietta. So for the games at McEachern tonight, I think everything's supposed to be clear. I don't think we're going to have any issues as the night goes on, but maybe the fields will be a little bit wet. Maybe that'll affect that first game a little bit. Ball might move a little bit faster.
Yeah, and so it'll be interesting to see how the first matches of the day, the 5 o'clockers, get to adjust to life. When you had the matchups yesterday, it was Lovett, North Oconee, Johnson, Gainesville, and Westminster. And so what are your takeaways from those two now that those have been put to bed?
They were both really interesting games. I think both of them kind of struggled to find a rhythm. A lot of goals from set pieces in both matches. When you look back at Lovett and North Oconee, I think maybe it was a surprise how good North Oconee was in this matchup. Grace Maddox with 2 goals, got the first goal. Lovett responded really well. That was one of our questions on the broadcast. You never know how a team that's 20-0 with almost 150 goals and they cross that line in the match. You never know how they're going to handle getting punched in the mouth first. You just don't know because they really haven't been. And they handled it very, very well. They got a goal from Mary Camp Newton to level it. And then an Olympico ends up in the back of the net. And I think what was so creative, what was so impressive about Lovett was how creative they were on corners. They get the classic, I think it's becoming a classic situation in women's game of, and I'm seeing men's teams do it as well, in swinging corners, crowding the 6-yard box, just making it chaotic for goalkeepers and defenders to deal with. This time it ends up in the back of the net because it's so chaotic. It's just everybody going for it. Nobody gets to it. It goes in. It's great delivery from Mary Parrish Green, who was our player of the game. She assisted on the goal that ends up winning it for Lovett with a different kind of corner routine. One played to the back post, a later runner from Olivia Aiken, and it's headed home. So it's one thing to be good on set pieces. I think in high school, that is an area where you can really separate yourselves a little bit because it's hard to develop style of play. It's hard to develop game model and match philosophy with limited training time. You can put some of that training time, which is less intensive as you're doing a lot of recovery work during the week. You can put a lot of that training time into set pieces and you can get creative with them. We saw long throws in both games. We saw, varying corner routines, really impressive. Lovett ends up dealing with a lot more pressure, a lot stronger performance from North Oconee than maybe some expected. They get the win. And in the boys game, full credit to Westminster because they had a lot of adversity to deal with here. They had to beat Johnson, which isn't easy to do. They had to get revenge on them from beating them last year. But they dealt with a red card as well. They got a goal, and it was well taken by Aditya Call to give them the lead. But then they had a red card, and it's a tough call. It's a denial of an obvious goal-scoring opportunity. Jessica Charman and I were both questioning whether there were other defenders in the vicinity. It's a big call to make, especially in the first half of a championship game. Yep. Referee made it. And Westminster handled the adjustment really, really well to being more defensive, putting numbers behind the ball. I thought Will Stewart, who ended up getting the second goal for Westminster, just such a great performance from him as one of the captains, being a dangerous attacking player. But in large stretches of this match, he had to drop deeper and he had to defend. He had to figure out how to soak up some pressure. Johnson never got going, and that's a credit to Westminster. A red card the other way in the second half for Johnson for a late challenge, a stamp on a player. It was caught us a little by surprise. I think afterwards, some people with different angles said, "Yeah, you can see that this is a red card here." But it's 10v10. The game was pretty stretched in moments. But as good as that offense is of Johnson, they never got going. Westminster did a really good job of keeping Edgar Vasquez away from dangerous areas. He still, because he's that good, manufactured some opportunities out of seemingly thin air. Couldn't find the back of the net, and Westminster took home their 15th state championship.
Absolutely crazy to think about those two blue bloods going 15 rounds and Westminster getting that state championship for them. For you today, GAC in Cambridge on the girls' side, and McIntosh goes up against the 4-seed Decatur on the boys' side.
Girls game, I'm really intrigued to see where this goes. The Spartans of GAC have a little more firepower in their squad, 16-3-1, Cambridge 14-2-4. Somewhat similar records. Cambridge maybe a little bit better defensively, GAC a little bit better offensively. So that'll be a very, very interesting game to see how it shakes out. Cambridge is a team that has been right around this for quite a while, and we'll see if they can get the breakthrough in this one. The boys game is extremely fascinating. Two teams that I've had a chance to see pretty late in the season. Decatur was not your typical number 4 team coming out of a region. They were a very, very good team, even finishing 4th in the region. But it's never easy to go on the road and win the games that they've won. And they had a lot of miles that they racked up in those games as well. They get here, and McIntosh was the one that you expected to be here. They have not lost all season. They have not drawn all season. They're better than they were last year, and they were really good last year. I think they're more complete this year. This is a team that doesn't only need those dangerous set pieces. This is a team that can play. Gabe Mwanda, almost 20 assists this season. That's really hard to do at the high school level. Liam Newton-Smith, such a good number 9 for them, but it's not purely about him getting the goals, although he's got a boatload of them. It's about what space he creates for others in that team. Lamaris Blue, such a good attacking winger who can come off the wing. He's a little streaky, and McIntosh is definitely hoping that he's in a good spot tonight and can give them that extra attacking presence. And we talked about it a lot in the quarterfinal, McIntosh's win over Dalton. A player who goes under the radar for that team is Jackson Autry. He can play on the wing. He can play as a fullback. They switched him to fullback to deal with pace in that Dalton match. And you talk about wins that can be building blocks. Beating Dalton anytime can be that. But in that game where Dalton threw everything at McIntosh, they keep the clean sheet.
Yep.
That's the other element of it, is they kept Dalton off the board entirely. Not easy to do. It gives them confidence. They had to go to extra time to get past Midtown and vanquish Midtown after Midtown knocked them out in the quarterfinals last year. So the thing that McIntosh can't do is, coming into this match, you can't look at Decatur's record or their spot in the region and say, oh, we just have to take care of our business. No, Decatur is a very difficult out. They do some things that at times can be a little unorthodox. They can be a surprising team to deal with. And in the match that we had late in the year against St. Pius, Decatur was incredibly impressive in that match, really dominant in that game. So Decatur is not your typical team with that record or that number 4 spot coming out of a region. It should be a classic on the boys' side tonight.
Yeah, we had Brian Messer batting leadoff with us today, and we got to catch up with him, and he's like, yeah, we meant this to be a rebuilding year. We lose 17, And he said, I thought that we might be a quarterfinal team coming into the season. And so the sun rises in the east, sets in the west. We all have our taxes due April 15th unless we file the extension. And McIntosh makes another deep run in the playoffs when it comes to the GHSA. I mean, it's just whatever is thrown at this program, they just sit there, they buckle down, they lock in, and they end up in the last match of the year chasing after yet another championship, ranked top 5 in the country.
Yeah, kind of a cool bit here with this match. McIntosh won the state title in 1992, and Bunky Colvin joined the staff a couple of years later. His first year in charge with McIntosh, they won the state title in the year 2000. That was in Duluth. So kind of cool for McIntosh to get this opportunity tonight for Bunky looking for another state title. So many for McIntosh. Decatur's got a few as well, and I think it's easy to forget. It's been a minute. 2016 was their last time around, but they've got a ton of history. 1977 was Decatur's first state title. So you're going back into those Westminster days where they were dominant. Decatur has had their ups and downs, I think, more so than maybe some of those other programs from that era. But they will not make it easy for McIntosh to just add another trophy to that case that they've probably had to build an expansion for.
Broadcast plans for you and Jess this afternoon and tonight.
5:00 for Greater Atlanta Christian and Cambridge on the 5A girls side. And then about 7:30, although I think they got started a couple minutes early last night in the boys game. So we'll see if that happens tonight. McIntosh and Decatur. NFHS Network, you can watch all the games there. You can have multiple devices going. If you want to put that on the TV, you can get the app there. You want to pull that up on the computer, you can do that. You want to put it on the phone or the tablet, you can do that by downloading the app. It is absolutely worth the subscription. And what you'll want to do too, and what I do this time of year, is I will obviously have a game that I'm calling, but you'll hear about what happens in other games. You can then go and watch it on demand afterwards, and you can find out like how Columbus got it done last night, for example, how it looked for Toombs to get their first state title on the boys' side. You can go back and check in on those sorts of things. So 100% worth the subscription. Get it locked in for tonight because there's good games going on in 2 different sites, 4 really good matches tonight.
Yep, you and Jess have your 2, Justin Hanover, Jarrett Smith, Roswell, Marist, Sprayberry, and River Ridge. Be safe. May everything stick to the card. What everything that you ended up doing today at the Children's Healthcare of Atlanta Training Ground. Just be safe. Have good calls. Say hi to Jess. Be well. We'll catch up soon.
Adios.
There we go. There goes Jason. And so Jason, he is on his way to going from Cobb County, probably home, maybe grabbing some notes, turning around, then heading to Gwinnett County and going to go hang out at Duluth with Jessica Charman and get everything squared away for those broadcasts. So once again, Jess and Jason today, GAC Cambridge, 5:00, McIntosh and Decatur. That one's slated for 7:30 or 30 minutes after the completion of the first matchup on the board. Justin Hanover and Jared Smith, Roswell Marist, followed by Sprayberry and River Ridge. And that will set up the 7A matchups that are tomorrow. And that is Buford and West Forsyth, number 1 versus number 2, and 7A on the girls. And Campbell and Kennesaw Mountain on the boys' side. That one's going to be an interesting one because I don't think folks had that one squared away in their brackets heading up to filling out everything in 7A. But those are 7A. That's tomorrow. 7A only has those 2 matchups today. This is the last day of the double venue since we had the triple venues on yesterday. So Duluth, McEachern today. And so that's where those are tonight with the GAC Cambridge, McIntosh-Decatur, Roswell Marist, Sprayberry, and River Ridge, 5A and 6A here in the GHSA championships. And so once again, salute to all of the champs so far that have had everything go their way, and great seasons across the board. You know, we mentioned the champs, but at the same time, I think we should mention the teams that make the deep runs and have fantastic seasons that we've seen so far. You know, you end up with on the boys' side, you go to a Class A D2. You look at Atkinson County. You look at what Atco did getting to the last match of the year and everything that they've done down there in Pearson on the boys and the girls' side. Bobby Jaworski gets the win for GMC 4-1. And so GMC got the Duke there. Eccles County made a deep run in D2 boys as well. AA boys. Model, you cannot ignore what Model has been able to do in their program, knocking off North Cobb Christian, Union County, and Pierce County to get to the semifinals, and then knocking off Providence Christian to get to the last match of the year and taking on Toombs County. AAA, you mentioned Hebron Christian, you mentioned Bremen, you mentioned Oconee County with what they've been able to do, and see what's gone on in there. And then in Quad A on the boys' side, Johnson Gainesville, Northwest Whitfield had a great run, Westminster, Whitewater, all of those that have worked their way through. On the girls' side, you look at D1 girls. Obviously, we mentioned what we've seen from Social Circle and Paideia. Social Circle, another fantastic year. Peyton Brooks, Truett McConnell. If you see Truett McConnell next season on your soccer schedule, go. D2 girls. It was Aquinas getting in, Towns County. We got to catch up with everybody up there at Towns County and see what they've been able to do. Johnson County making a good deep run as well. AA girls, Ace Charter doing well late. Model doing well on the girls' side as well. AAA girls, you see what happened there with Dawson County making a deep run, Columbus making a deep run. Quad A girls with a deep run there with Cherokee Bluff and with Westminster, North Oconee. You tip your hat to Ben Grassmeyer as well and everything there. 5A and 6A today. And it's, once again, great to see how everything is going on. Great to catch up with Jeremy Moore down at Toombs County. Great to catch up with Brian Messer as he gets ready for McIntosh and Decatur, 7:30 tonight as well. We'll be back tomorrow. Last Soccer's in Session Live. We're going to put a bow on everything and get you ready for the 7A finals across the board. For everybody here at SDH, thanks for coming on with us for one more round of Soccer's in Session Live. Championship Friday tomorrow. Mucho Platial played safe, and since it's the end of the show, that means I get to do this. Morning show, 9:05 tomorrow morning.